There are times in life when nothing feels truly wrong, yet nothing feels complete either. The days pass, the sun rises, the night returns, and still, inside us, there is a quiet feeling of lack. We notice what did not happen, what we did not receive, what life did not give us in the way we hoped. Slowly, gently, almost without noticing, our attention drifts away from what remains and settles only on what is missing. This is how gratitude quietly fades, not in one dramatic moment, but little by little. This story does not rush you. It does not speak loudly. It does not try to teach with force. It simply sits beside you, like a calm companion, and asks you to look again. Not harder, just deeper. Long ago, in a time when people measured distance by footsteps and patience mattered more than speed, there lived two young men named Elias and Thomas. They came from the same small village, a place where mornings were slow and familiar, and evenings arrived softly without urgency. They had grown up sharing simple meals, shared laughter, and long conversations under open skies. They left their village when they were young, full of hope and confidence. They believed that if they worked hard enough, life would reward them exactly as promised. Yet as the years passed, life shaped them differently. Elias became quiet and observant. He learned to pause before reacting. He believed that even difficult moments carried meaning if one was willing to see it. Thomas remained driven and determined. He worked hard and expected fairness in return. When life did not respond as he hoped, frustration took root quickly. For several long years, they worked in a distant city. The work was heavy, the days were long, the nights were often lonely. Each coin they saved carried effort and sacrifice. Still, they endured, because one thought sustained them, the thought of home. And when the time finally came to return, their hearts felt lighter than they had in years. They packed what little they owned and began the journey back toward familiar hills and waiting families. Part of the way was meant to be easy. A carriage would take them close to the forest, and from there they would walk. But on the morning they set out, the driver refused to continue. The forest paths, he said, had become dangerous after days of rain. Thomas felt his chest tighten. Again, he thought, another obstacle. Elias thanked the driver calmly, adjusted his bag, and said they would continue on foot. It would take longer, yes, but they would still arrive. Thomas said nothing, but his thoughts were restless. The forest was quiet and dense. The path was narrow and uneven. The air smelled of damp leaves and earth. Old traps left behind by hunters forced them to slow down, to watch every step. Their legs grew tired, their mouths grew dry. Still, they kept walking, guided by the quiet pull of home. By late afternoon, they reached a wide river. The bridge that once crossed it was gone, taken by the rushing water. Thomas stopped. His shoulders dropped. His voice grew tight. "Why does this keep happening?" he said. Elias studied the river for a long time. There was no other crossing nearby. If they wanted to continue, they would have to swim. They secured their belongings and stepped into the cold water. The crossing demanded all their strength. When they finally reached the far bank, soaked and shaking, Thomas suddenly realized their water flask was gone. It had been swept away by the current. He sat down heavily, tired, thirsty, defeated. Elias wrung out his clothes slowly and took a deep breath. "We crossed safely," he said quietly. "That is not nothing." Soon after, dark clouds gathered again. Rain fell suddenly, hard and unkind. They ran, searching for shelter. Just as exhaustion began to take over, they found a small wooden hut hidden among the trees. Inside, they rested while rain struck the roof again and again. As Elias quietly collected rainwater, Thomas's frustration poured out. He spoke of the carriage, the river, the rain, and the long road still ahead. He questioned whether the journey was worth it at all. Elias listened without interruption. Sometimes silence is the kindest response. When the rain finally stopped, the sun returned, strong and heavy. Hunger tightened their stomachs. Each step felt slower than the last. When they emerged from the forest, they saw an open field stretching wide. At its center stood a great tree, tall and ancient, its branches spreading wide with generous shade. They collapsed beneath it. They rested. They breathed. They shared the last of their food. Thomas leaned back and looked up through the branches. "This tree is useless," he said softly. "It gives no fruit." Elias closed his eyes, feeling the shade cool his skin. And then a calm and steady voice filled the air. It asked whether something was truly useless simply because it did not give what someone expected. The voice spoke of standing there through countless seasons, holding the earth together during storms, offering rest to the weary and shelter to many lives. It asked gently whether a gift loses its value because it is quiet. Thomas felt something loosen inside him. His eyes filled with tears. He whispered an apology, realizing how often he had judged life by what it lacked instead of what it provided. The voice faded, but the lesson remained. They stayed beneath the tree for a long time. When they finally stood, the road ahead was unchanged, but Thomas was not. As they walked toward the distant lights of home, he spoke softly. He admitted that he had spent much of his life counting disappointments and very little time noticing support. Elias smiled and said that gratitude does not remove hardship, but it softens its weight. When they reached the village, their families welcomed them with tears and quiet joy. Holding his mother, Thomas felt rich, not because the journey had been easy, but because he could finally see what had carried him through. Many of us live the way Thomas once did. We focus on what is missing. We overlook what remains. Gratitude does not deny pain. It does not pretend life is perfect. It simply opens our eyes. And when the way we see life changes, life itself begins to feel different. If this story brought you a moment of calm, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who may need it, and subscribe for more gentle stories like this. Thank you for spending this time here. May your days be steady, your heart be grateful, and your journey be filled with quiet blessings. We will see you again very soon.